We are here to finish out the week on common knowledge as I take a look at 10 more common Magic the Gathering cards and tell you if they're any good in the Pauper format or not. What's our first card in this lovely Friday? It's Song of Blood. What a beautiful card name for such a beautiful day. Song of Blood is 1 and a red for a sorcery. Mill 4 cards. Whenever a creature attacks this turn, it gets +1/+0 until end of turn for each creature card put into your graveyard this way. That's not great, but it is kind of cool. We've seen 2 mana mill 4 cards before. Malevolent Rumble is out there. Now that's a card that puts a card back in your hand, so it's a little bit different, and you get a guy. Man, Malevolent Rumble's really good. Song of Blood, I mean, it's possible it could give your creatures +4/+0, right? Whenever a creature attacks this turn, that's so all your creatures would get that buff. Now you could whiff, and then you just milled 4 cards and put this into your graveyard. But I mean, I don't know. Maybe that helps you somehow. I mean, Dredge doesn't want this, right? Dredge does play a lot of creatures, so you could mill a bunch of creatures and then swing in, but Dredge doesn't really even need to do that. And if you are splashing red for Dredge in a lot of Dredge decks, but not enough that I think you want a card like this. I don't know. You have to have a very specific kind of deck because this is a sorcery, but you want to mainly have creatures. And I think you'd rather just have the card advantage of something like a Winding Way or a Lead the Stampede, and you really don't need the boost that this card gives you. However, it's just interesting, and I just kind of like it. I could see somebody trying to do something weird and cool in Pauper with this, and it working, I don't know, 2 out of every 10 times, and that's not a good enough rate to really consider this. So we got to give this kind of a low score, like a 2.4. But it does mill 4 cards into your graveyard, and that's pretty good. We like milling stuff into our graveyards in a lot of Pauper decks, so there's some value there. Mask of Law and Grace. Now here is a pretty decent card. Single white mana for an enchantment aura that enchants a creature. Enchanted creature has protection from black and red. Those are good colors to have protection from. A lot of very deadly removal spells are going to be in either of those 2 colors or both of those colors. So this is solid. You see this sometimes show up in Vogel's decks or in Mono White Heroic, but it probably doesn't go much of anywhere else. It is kind of a 1 mana spell that doesn't really do anything. That's not true. With the protection, if your opponent's creatures are all black and or red, then you can swing in unblockable, and that's nice. That is nice. I mean, obviously, this is a sideboard piece, and a pretty good one at that. It goes in very specific decks, and it comes out in the sideboard from when you're up against very specific decks. But when you do need this card, it's harder to get better than this card. Also a really good commander card. That's why this is, above $1 here, because you see this show up in all sorts of Enchantress decks, because color hosers are not amazing in commander, because maybe you don't go up against those colors, but somebody's going to play black and or red in commander. Come on. So this is not bad. I want to give this its props. It's a good sideboard piece, not the best sideboard piece, but a good one. And I think for that we can go for a higher-ish 4, maybe like a 4.7. Yeah, I like that. Good card. Kinjalli's Collar is a single white mana for a 0/3 human cleric. Dinosaur spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. I do like a 1 mana cost reducer. That's pretty sweet, even if it is as specific as dinosaurs. I suppose the idea here is that, 1, this is in white, and most of the good dinosaurs are in green, and maybe a little bit red, but mostly green. So you have to probably be playing a color you don't necessarily want to play to get this effect. But also, this is just a 1 mana 0/3. It blocks a lot of stuff. That's pretty cool. I guess the downside is what's it really matter if you play this on turn one? Again, most of the good dinosaur spells you're playing are going to be 4, 5, 6, 7 mana, something like that. Annoyed Altasaur costs a lot of mana, so you're not going to get to like play that on turn two because you played Kinjalli's Collar on turn one. That's not going to happen. But it still does okay, and obviously it works with changelings and some other things that you can give the dinosaur creature type. There's ways of making something like that work, but overall, I don't mind a 1 mana 0/3 that still has a little bit extra value. Human and cleric are both really good creature types if you're trying to play with that, but obviously you're trying to play with dinosaurs if you're playing this. It's okay. Would it be better if it was in green? Oh hell yeah, it would be way better if it was in green. But it's still not bad, and I think there is something interesting about a cost reducer on one, even if it's a pretty narrow one like this. I'll give this a 3.2. There you go, 3.2. Scrap is 2 and a red for an instant. Destroy target artifact, and it cycles for 2. I feel like we talked about a card like this recently. So it's a shatter that costs 1 more than shatter. So that feels bad because shatter is too expensive as it is. Shatter feels bad on its own. So this feels even worse. But it does cycle for 2, and we like cycling. That is nice. I don't think either of these things are really all that great. I mean, cycling for 2 is always fine. And destroying an artifact is okay too. But we have so many ways of destroying artifacts in the Pauper format, and those just do a little bit more. I do like the modality here of the cycling, but I'm going to want something like Suplex, which can either exile the artifact or deal 3 damage to a creature. That can be pretty useful. I'm going to want something like Shenanigans, which I can dredge from my graveyard turn after turn. I'm going to want something like Cast into the Fire, which again can exile an artifact or can deal 1 damage to 2 different creatures. Like that's pretty good. Or deal A damage to up to 2 target creatures. Is that what I said? I don't know. The point is, we have a lot of other cards. Siege Smash also, it just kind of dumpster fires this one, right? Siege, I gotta spell it right. Siege Smash. Split Second, which is really cool, but 2 mana for an instant, destroy target artifact, or you get +3/+2 and gains trample until end of turn. Siege Smash is also a hell of a card. So it makes scrap really unnecessary in this format, even though I think it's still kind of cool, and I like this big hammer coming down. That's pretty cool too. But the card itself, not really made for this modern format of Pauper. Modern, you know what I mean. the current meta of Pauper, just scrap does not work in it, and that's kind of a shame. But let's go with a 2.5. You know, it does have cycling on it. That's not bad. Next up, Snow-Covered Mountain. Ooh, that's interesting. I think we talked some other times this week about basic lands getting a 6. And I think that holds true. But a snow-covered land specifically works with some snow strategies. The mountain specifically is going to work with Skred, because Skred is one of the big reasons that you would play a snow-based strategy. So I kind of want to give a snow-covered mountain a better score than I would give both a basic or a snow-covered land of a different color. This is a pretty solid land. I'm actually going to bump it up a little bit from a basic and say this is, a 6.5. It's weird to be rating basic lands here, but I think the snow covered actually does really make a difference. Yeah, snow covered mountain, kind of cool. Oh, actually, before we'll make sure we go back to that card, but what's our, actually, I don't know if I can now. I think I messed up that. I was going to ask what our favorite snow covered mountain is. I do really like the original. That's some nice peaks, and of course, because I am I'm always going to like Cold Snap. That was when I was playing. But we've gotten some other cool ones too. I think these Kaldheim ones are both pretty cool. All right. So we can't get back to that one, right? Because if I go forward, it just goes back to where I was. Yeah. All right. Well, whatever that black card was, we missed it. I'll catch it in editing and we'll do it the next time if I remember. Let's just see another card. It's Glissa's Courier, which is 1 and double green for a 2/3 Phyrexian horror with Mountain Walk. So we can get in on that snow-covered mountain. This is bad. This is really bad. 3 mana for a 2/3 is already pretty bad for green. Mountain Walk is not an especially great ability. 3 toughness. Knowing that this is going to kind of color hose red decks, because it has Mountain Walk, that'd be the only reason you'd play it. What do red decks usually play? A Lightning Bolt, which can take out a 3 toughness creature. So this really has no place in Pauper. This is a terrible card, and I'll give it a terrible score. It's going to get a 1.3, I think. Really, really bad. Encampment Keeper is a single white mana for a 1/1 dog. It's got first strike, and you can pay 7 a white and tap and sack this creature to give creatures you control +2/+2 until end of turn. Oh my goodness. That is so much. I know you have this 1 mana 1/1, hey, I get to play it early in the game, and then maybe way later in the game when I'm all the way up to 8 mana. Jeez. Then I can use this ability, but come on. A 1/1, I know it has first strike, so maybe it stays on the board a turn or 2 longer than it normally would, but this is not getting to turn 8. It just isn't. And you have to sacrifice the creature. Why? That's so rude. That is so rude. I do like this art. I remember seeing this card a number of times, and thinking like, oh, that seems like a neat little card. And it is. There's like a wolf out there, right? Isn't there like a white wolf? It's like just a 1/1 first striker. So I guess it's better than that, but very negligibly. This is such a terrible ability. And I don't even think the ability itself is all that good. Creatures you control get +2/+2. Okay, I guess. I mean, you can do it at instant speed, but this thing would need vigilance to be able to attack and then do it, like in response to something. I don't know. I don't like this at all. This is stupid. I know it's just like it's a 1/1 with first strike. You should probably just give it a halfway decent score based on just that. But this ability actively detracts from this whole card for me. So I think I've got to go pretty low on this one. I'm going to go for a. I guess I can still give it above a 2, right? Let's go for a 2.2 and move on before I change my mind. Blazing Blade Askari is a 2 and a red for a 2/2 human knight with flanking. Love flanking. That means whenever a creature without flanking blocks this creature, the blocking creature gets -1/-1 until end of turn. And you can pay 2, and this creature becomes colorless until end of turn, which is not a crazy ability. I guess it could show up sometimes if you needed to. I suppose. Okay, let's say let's say you attack a you attack into a Guardian of the Guild Pact. There you go. It has protection from monocolored. So then you can make yourself colorless, which means you're not monocolored, you have no color. And then the flanking works. Well, the flanking I guess works anyway, because that doesn't target. So yeah, the flanking works anyway, but then you could actually hit it. uh, that's dumb, but that is a thing you could do. Interesting. Now this doesn't. I guess you could also avoid blue elemental blasts once it's on the table. Now you can't use it when it's still in the stack, so that's not going to work. It's not like it's got devoid or something when you cast it. I am really stretching to find something where this works, and it's those are not very good examples, are they? This is not a very good card. I do like a 2/2 with flanking, but I think I would just take like Banalish Cavalry at that point, right? That's what it's called. That's the other times power one, Banalish. Yeah, Banalish Cavalry. That's my boy. Just a 2-mana 2/2 flanking. That makes a lot more sense to me. This I guess not, and it's in the same set, so I don't know. Wait, did I score that? Yeah. Yeah. No. Did I? I don't know. I don't even remember. I don't think I did. It gets like a 2.3. It's really not that good. Dependable Quinjet is 3 mana for a 3/3 artifact vehicle with flying. You can tap it to add 1 mana of any color, and it crews for 4, which I guess makes sense. Fantastic Four, whatever, but it makes the card pretty bad, doesn't it? A 3 mana rock. I guess it is just a 3 mana rock that adds a mana of any color. So you put this up to next to like Darksteel Ingot and things like that. Maybe. I don't think it really is favorable to those things. But a 3/3 flyer, once you crew it, but you're crewing it for more power than it has power. So you're losing a little something to get the extra evasion from that. But then if you're attacking in, you lose the ability to use the mana. Like there's just kind of downsides everywhere, and I don't think the card is good enough in any one of those respects to make me want to play it and accept the downsides. I think it just at that point I'm kind of turned off by the whole thing, and I'm also turned off because it's a Marvel card that I don't really like. But I don't know, score wise. A 3 mana rock that makes a mana of any color is not terrible. Become a vehicle that can become a creature can be useful. You know, with the flying, maybe you can use it to surprise block somebody. I guess it wouldn't be that much of a surprise, but maybe they don't see the line. Still not great. I'm going to give this a 2.1. Next and last official card of the day is Chorus of the Tides. It's 3 and a blue for a 3/2 Siren with flying and heroic. Whenever you cast a spell that targets this creature, you scry 1. I don't think that's good enough. 4 mana 3/2 flyer in blue. I mean, that's okay, I guess. That seems about on rate for what a blue card like this would be, a blue creature card. But the heroic, I think, it's just really disappointing. Yeah, scrying's not bad, and it makes sense in blue's color pie here. But this is a scry, and what are you casting on this and feeling good about the scry for? I don't know. I don't know what what you're actually targeting this. What spells you're targeting this with in blue that makes you happy about that? I mean, maybe you're playing a couple different colors and you can put the white spells on here that give, honor gives +1/+1. Well, honor's not in Pauper. Probably should be. But you dip into the mono white heroic thing and find some good auras or something to put on this. Ethereal armor, I guess. But just really slow too. 4 mana flyer. I don't particularly like that. I gotta go. I think I'm just gonna go with the 2. The 4 mana really does kill. If this was 3 mana, I think we could make an argument for it. But 4 is just too much. Bonus card is Phyrexian Broodlings. 1 in double black. For a 2/2 Phyrexian minion, you can pay 1, sacrifice a creature, and put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. We kind of just talked about a creature that was similar to this, right? There was a red one that we saw. I wrote it down. It was Hobble Fiend. That's right. Hobble Fiend, though, started as a 2/1 with trample, and it only cost 2, but it had this same line of text: pay 1, sacrifice a creature, and put a +1/+1 counter on it. And that's better than this. And if you want an even easier one, we just have Carrion Feeder in the same color, and Carrion Feeder does it for free. Now, Carrion Feeder can't block, but Carrion Feeder, I would say, is much better. I guess you could argue, maybe this goes into a mono black devotion deck. It does have 2 pips, And I would say no, because it's sacrificing your own creatures. So if you are playing creatures that have a bunch of black pips on it, this card wants you to get rid of those creatures. No, it has no evasion. Like Hobblefiend had trample, which is the coolest part about that card. And this just doesn't. So this really doesn't stack up. It does have great art. I do like the art, and I like that it's now a Phyrexian minion where it used to be just a minion. Of course, yeah, it's a Phyrexian. It says it right in the name, so you got to do that. But I don't think this card is anything special. I think we have so many other cards that, especially in black, that can get bigger when things get sacrificed. You know, Gixian Infiltrator doesn't have an active way of sacrificing things, but it gets +1/+1 counters on it as you sacrifice things. And that's pretty good because you can make a lot of those things happen, including lands. You can't do that with this card. It has to just be a bunch of creatures, and you have to keep paying for it each time. And that's not going to fly here. So we're going to go for something like a 2.5. It's okay. It's okay, but we just have so many other cards that are better than this. That is it. That's our week. We'll see you next time. Till then, bye.